Yo guys, alright, so we are going to react to Ellimity's first video and how not to make your thesis game. Now, she is somebody that recently blew up in the 3D space, in the gaming dev space, and she makes some funny content and she makes some game dev content. As of recently, she's been making a lot of IRL content, but her main source of content is game dev, and so I thought, you know what, I might as well react to this, and because I thought it would be interesting.
My final year as a game dev student, ready to enter the industry, which is blossoming with job opportunities and happiness all around. Yeah. All
Yeah.
the blood, sweat, and tears has led up to this, our final big game project. Nothing could possibly go wrong. I mean, you might as well be invincible when you're aura farming as a solo dev, right?
Oh my god. Our final thesis project, it was dope. It was dope. It was actually very much liked by a whole lot of people. But yeah, it's like I remember even like at the gala there was like a company that came to kind of promote their, the studio and everything, but they knew they weren't gonna how can I say, hire anybody because during those times right now the industry is kind of unstable, so I guess they couldn't, but they were just there to basically promote their studios. And it's one of those things that you're just like, damn, like, you put all that effort and nothing comes out of it immediately. Obviously, I'm not saying not to stop, because I think if you really love this, even if it's up and down, and even if it's down or up, you're gonna do it anyways. And I think artists at least should focus on that. But no, still sucks.
The jiggling was a little scary, but yeah.
Especially when we have no ideas. The game is due in 7 months, and we are showcasing it in person in April at the end of those 7 months. This should be fun. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we will be going through the triumphs and defeats, the epic highs and lows of making a thesis game project. A solo thesis game project. Yes, I made every element of my game myself. Thank you.
Wow.
From rules to music to code, everything was made by me. Could this be part of the reason why my game completely flopped and did not turn out at all how I imagined it? Probably not. But don't worry, this is not.
I mean, I think one of the things that I'll say about artists is like I feel like every artist wants to have 100% control over the entire process, but at some point you got to realize that it's okay to trust others. It's okay to entrust responsibilities unto others, because at the end of the day, when you're gonna enter the industry, you're going to be working in teams.
Not just a story time of how I'm bad at game development. I will be giving you 3 key takeaways of what I learned from my failures and what you can avoid with your own project. I mean, what good is a flop Tina if she does not flop help the masses? Without further ado,
what?
Your first
Wait.
Of Dungeon High School.
Flop help? What? Wait. That what? I don't think she said that right.
That's my game name.
You mean like help to not flop, right?
Now,
planning.
high school's final year function a little bit differently to the typical thesis game school year. Overall, how the program went was you spent your first year doing general drawing, because we're technically an animation program, and then after that, you pick your stream. I went into the game dev stream, and year 2 is learning the fundamentals. Year 3 is the thesis, which is what we are in right now. Typically for a thesis year, both semesters are completely dedicated to making the final game project. This way, the students can completely dedicate their time to making the best portfolio pieces possible.
Yeah.
The late nights, the camaraderie in the labs. And this was absolutely the case for us not. No it wasn't. While all the other streams of our program had their last year completely dedicated to their thesis, for some reason, semester 1 of our final year of game dev was regular assignments. Full assignments too. I had to rig a whole Cat 320E excavator, and yes, I still remember its name. That's how traumatized
Oh my
I am.
God.
Please don't come for me, Bob the Builder. So imagine you're me, trying to come up with a banger game idea, but you're basically a survey corps running through a horde of titans trying to find your horse, aka the idea. Not to mention, in regard to the other streams, we actually had one class with them that was not a part of game dev. It was for everyone, and it was a pitching class where everyone would pitch their ideas to each other for feedback. Imagine you're in this class that I'm talking about. In every other class, you're getting pitched banger, next Sailor Moon, banger, race car yaoi, animation.
Yeah, it was also kind of part of, I mean, I don't know which school she went to, but in our program, basically during one of the sessions, we were, I mean, the class was called production of game. And basically, we needed to make a pitch with teams, obviously. We need to come up with an idea. It was like the first month, I think, first month, we created an idea, pitched it, we made an iteration on it, and then we needed to create our first pitch. Then we did that whole process again for the second pitch. It wasn't like pitching and how to sell your idea. It wasn't like a class on its own. It was kind of part of the process of the entire class and how to make a game, basically. So it's kind of interesting that that was like a whole class subject for her.
School is a wonderful place, but you're in the gaming stream and working solo, and you feel like you still are not coming up with anything. Now keep in mind, guys, this was a direct result of me not planning my game over the summer when I knew that come semester 1 we would have to do regular assignments.
Yes, and this is another thing, because the production class was basically kind of a, not beta, but like kind of preparation for our actual thesis project, right? For the pre-production. And what I basically noticed is, even during production, is like even before summer even started, people were already doing teams. They already planned teams and everything, and they were basically preparing for like the type of game they wanted. I was like, oh my gosh, like everyone is already preparing for stuff like that. And that's one of the things that kind of made me lock in a way, not just during summer, but like kind of made me lock in into, okay, like I really need to start planning and preparing and stuff like that to really make a banger game. I ended up joining a team. I think for production, there was for production after the pitch 2, after pitch 2, basically it went well and everything. I think I started planning out what type of artists we really need for our team. Do we need animators? Do we need environment? You know, I think, I'm not gonna lie, I really liked the production class because it really put us in a real life situation, how game production really works. Not just really AAA, but really indie, you know, if you're in a smaller team. But yeah, you always also, when you're in indie type of studios, you're really more generalist, not just doing what you're good at, but you're also doing a bunch of other stuff. That's also pretty cool. But yeah.
I just want to be clear that I'm not blaming my professors for this because I was aware that this was the structure that our program was going to be. So not only
Yeah.
am I in the Survey Corps running away from a horde of titans trying to find my horse, but there's also 10 Levi Ackermans around me racking up their kills. But all these pictures started to give me an
Real.
idea. I decided that self-imposed I was going to pitch my game in this class, and through sheer grit and determination, I came up with the initial idea for Dungeon High School. The first version, at least, I think. It was going to be a 3D mixed media dungeon with puzzles and combat. Wow, what a fantastic idea. No one's ever done this before. Not a single soul. Now, I say I think because I was looking through my old Canva presentations for this video, and even I'm confused.
Yeah, but like, I mean, every game has been made. Like, all you can do is like kind of reinvent and like add your own touch to it. Really, like, we're at a point where almost every game has been done, and especially as a student, like, I don't think you should stress yourself out that you're not reimagining the landscape of gaming. Like you don't need to put that much stress onto your shoulders because that's not realistic.
I mean, the mixed media art style was cool. I mean, look at all these mock-ups I made. Very gullible, very demure, very cute. But the game was also at one point 2D turn-based combat inspired by like those old like Mario and Luigi games. And then I was also planning to use Unreal Engine. Hi, editing Ellie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think you had really like too many ideas. Really, it didn't feel coherent, even in the art style. Like, I mean, you can make it work, but I think for a student, especially solo project, that's a lot.
Inspired by like those old like Mario and Luigi games, and then I was also planning to use Unreal Engine. Hi, editing Ellie.
Wow. Okay.
Here, so correction, I think at some point I wanted to do the game 3D but with like 2D enemies and still like turn-based combat, so I actually found a teaser that I made in Unreal kind of showing what I wanted to do. So enjoy, as a brief interlude.
And she mainly uses Godot. She doesn't like... I've used Unreal, I mainly use Unreal, but like, was it the software that she's most familiar with? Is that why she wanted to use Unreal? Because if it was a whole new engine that she never used, like, yeah, that's a lot. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, okay.
Okay, back to the video. Even though I've been a Godot dev for several years at this point, keep in mind, guys.
Oh, wait, this was her first time ever trying to use like Unreal. I guess she probably like learned, but like what? Oh, that's ambitious. What the hell? It's like for me, like saying like, oh, all I've really mainly learned is Unreal. I've used Unity a bit, but just because I've used Unity a bit doesn't mean I like should just make that switch immediately. Like, if for my last project, damn, that was ambitious though. She got guts. I'll give her that. But yeah, it would have been better to just do it in Godot.
This is over the course of like 3 months. That's like a third of my production time. And honestly, reading all these slides, I have no idea what my plan was even after I pitched the game. I didn't even know if I did at the time. I literally can't.
Damn. I'm not gonna lie, I might try and recheck some of my, presentation slides because like, like, at first, like, I think my presentation slides were pretty good, honestly, but like, I need to recheck them to see like how coherent I was back then. Like, and it wasn't just me; it was like obviously a team project. So, I kind of want to recheck them just for fun.
can't even tell you which version I pitched. I might have even pitched 2. So yeah, that's not my horse, but the Beast Titan got to it, bro. That's all I'm gonna say about that. If you've ever jumped into a game project with no plan, then you know what I'm talking about. Because combat and puzzles are not game mechanics, they're categories. And yeah, not to mention how I was still waffling on medium, like 2D or 3D, and the game engine that I was going to use up until December. Side note, this is because I thought no one would hire me if I was gonna use Godot, so I was gonna use Unreal. Side note, no one's hiring anyways. All while still working on my—
Fair enough, but it is true that everyone uses either Unreal or Unity. But for your last thesis project, I think it's better, even if you don't know how to use Unreal yet, you can learn after. Because the thing is, like, for your last thesis project, you need to show like your full potential, and whenever you need to learn Unreal, like all your skills will transfer. That's the thing. Like at the end of the day, like every time I talk to like some artists, from students to even my mentor that is learning Unity currently, he said like Unity is, I mean, it's not that confusing to use. Like obviously, like when you're first using it, you're like you don't know what to do. But at the end of the day, all these engines work the same. Like the skills are transferable. So like, yeah.
Other assignments, so I didn't fail. So here's the takeaway and what I wish I had done. I should have been more aggressive about planning the game mechanics from the beginning, and ideally from summertime, because being so busy with my Cat 320E, I was going into semester 2 with what I thought was a plan, but what was really just vague brainstorming. So let's get into our next issue, and that was a direct result of no planning. Now, usually when a game dev talks about scope, they're talking about the game becoming too big. Like those blorbs in the Mario & Luigi game. That was a callback to earlier in the video. Were you paying attention? Were you paying it too much to build, too much in general? But I actually feel like I had a different problem, and that was the scope didn't really exist for my game. And it was time to start making the thing. How do you make—
but even then, I'll actually say like your scope was kind of big for like one person, especially like I'll say this, like the fact that you had like 2 different style, actually multiple different style from what I was seeing from like the mashup. It was like 3D, a whole nother style of 3D, then 2D, like, and not even just that, even like when we're talking about, I mean, obviously you said it was categories, not game mechanics, but even the fact that you wanted to do combat and puzzles, like, that was too much. Like one of the things I'll say about my game for Nucleus, one of the main complaints I've had about Newton and Bolt is the fact that it kind of goes into stealth and puzzles. I mean, platforming puzzle. And the thing is, between the two, we kind of just needed to go all the way into one. But the problem is, when we made the plan, we kind of both included stealth and platforming as like the 2 core things about our games. But we should have just focused on one of them, because what ended up happening is like the platforming aspects, the platform kind of puzzle, figuring out where to go and everything was really good, but then we would pull away to do some stealth, right? And we would end up kind of like not doing a good enough job in the stealth aspect, but the whole platform puzzle was really good, but we would end up doing like stops and doing stealth. Like the thing is, we needed to really just choose one of them and just go all the way with just that one, really. And I think that was really the main problem with the game of Newton and Bolt. So the fact that you wanted to do both puzzles and combat, like, for one person, even for a team, like honestly, it's just better to just focus on one of those aspects. So yeah.
The thing, when you don't know what the thing even is. So what did I do? Random stuff. I couldn't even tell you. Girl, I literally don't know. I made an object picking up mechanic, followed a random shader tutorial for this pixel shader, made a grappling hook, which my professor noted that every student makes a grappling hook when they don't know what mechanic to put. Why did
Damn! Oh my god, your professor really called you out. That's crazy. But at least you made something. At least you were making something, because like what's even worse than that is just not making anything, right? But yeah, damn. And you were basically, I guess your plan was to just somehow mash up all these game mechanics.
Bro have to call me out like that? And I started making random test assets that I never ended up using. Why? Girl, I gotta be honest, I literally just did not know what to do. Going back to what my slides look like, I had this vague world in my head of Dungeon High School. A rivalry maybe between the player and the main villain, who was also his best friend. Low-key, I might have been inspired by that NASCAR yaoi I was talking about. And there was
oh my gosh,
mashup of the typical dungeon plus a modern high school. But even with some concept art from my friend, I had no idea how to put these together. I completely awful for the first 2 months of semester 2. My last semester to make this project. Not only that, but do you remember that showcase I mentioned earlier? We were making our final project for a grade, but also to showcase it in person at Level Up Student Showcase, where not only your game would be played by the community at large, but also industry professionals who were ranking your game on various categories. And the pressure of this was starting to get to me. The summer before school, I remember doing one thing, and that was visualizing. I'm gonna get cornball for a sec, okay? Everyone, girder your loins?
Alright everyone, gird your loins!
I had an image in my head of me winning an award at Level Up, and you would bet I felt some emotional attachment to this goal. And you would think that I would have spent the summer doing a lot more than I did, but I didn't. I tried to, but all I had come September was 2 slides based on this old game idea I had that was also similarly vague and had no game mechanic behind it. Same as Dungeon High School, all I had was some vague concept art. Fast forward to now, still 2 months before this showcase was about to come up, and I was barely making any of my jumbled ideas come to fruition. And despite started streaming and patching a bit of a level together with that object throwing mechanic I had mentioned earlier, internally, I was completely self-sabotaging. I was thinking, why even try? There's no point that you're gonna win anything anyways. Literally the most doomer mindset you can possibly think of. My mindset was completely detrimental to my goals. I was being so toxic, and I spent my last remaining time trying to protect myself from the pain of failing and accepting it preemptively. So how did my game turn out in the end? Well, honestly, it's still the biggest project I've ever made. It's a full weird level where the main mechanic is picking up and throwing objects, and you also have a sword for some reason. All the art was done by me, like I said, including the music and sound effects, and it does still look cool.
Yeah, you see, you probably focused a lot more on the puzzle aspect. And I'll even say like you should have focused completely on it.
Well, I guess, at least. I even made a speedrun timer because I wanted to give the players more incentive, since the game on its own is kind of nothing burger. Honestly, bros, in hindsight, I could have done a lot better. If I had spent the summer planning properly, creating a scope, and sticking to it throughout my semesters, and had a good mindset overall, I think I could have made something really cool. But hindsight's 2020, I guess. So what's next after this flop for me? Well, it's been a few months. After school ended in April, I kind of didn't know what to do, but I've decided I'm going to keep pushing. I'm gonna learn more Blender because school is canceling my Maya license, and I'm gonna make a new project.
Honestly, same. This is a whole nother thing. I've started to learn like how to use Blender because now, like, obviously soon my Maya license is gonna end. Actually, I just decided to delete Maya as a whole. Like somehow it wasn't working. I could have just deinstalled it and uninstalled it and then reinstall it again, but I just took it as a sign that yeah, it's time to learn Blender. But yeah.
And finally start posting on here, YouTube, because this is my favorite medium, fun fact. Oh, by the way, literally probably 1% of you are subscribed because this is my first long video. So if you like my vibe and game dev potentially, please subscribe and join the Mini Nation, including the Discord, which is linked below. Thanks for watching, see you soon.
Okay. This was a cool video. I'm very okay, this is dope. I'm very happy for her. I hope she succeeds and I mean does numbers on YouTube.